Dr. Harry Carter, what do you enjoy? What with your heart, how does it make you feel to be a Mason?
I enjoy being with my brothers. I enjoy being a part of something with a depth and range which is rewarding beyond anything I can use mere words to explain. You have to be a part of it. You have to feel it. You have to see the charity. The principal tenets of charity are of the lodge are brotherly love, relief, and charity. Brotherly love. We love each other. Now, there might be days when we really don't like people, but we love them. and we sit and we talk our way through things. Now, does humanity creep in occasionally? Why, of course. But humanity creeps into the fire service. I'm sure you know of one or two people in your existence who regularly set your teeth on edge.
Yeah.
Well, that's everywhere.
That's life.
You're dealing with humans, but to be a part of the fraternity gives me joy beyond belief. More than that, I know that heaven help me if at some point I go, as the Italians say, stonazz, and lose all. There is the Masonic home in Burlington where they can take me, tuck me in, and I know that I will be taken care of by the fraternity. And since I have long-term health care, the waiting list will disappear.
Yeah.
But it is a fabulous journey, and it gives life a continuum. You know, you were at your beginning when you were born, but you don't remember much. As you go through life, you pick up knowledge and experiences, and you share it. And as you come to the end of your life, as you're going to close the door and move into the next realm, or climb Jacob's ladder, as you and I would say, it's nice to know that there's a place where people with similar values and beliefs will be there to help you.
Well, and lastly here with that, again, if there's a young firefighter, young or 35-year firefighter, doesn't matter, that wanted to become a Mason, what do they have to do?
The act is quite simple. You must find a Mason, and you must ask a Mason. Usually the lodge has a phone. The phones are in the phone book. The numbers are. Or if you see someone with a bumper sticker, or if you see someone with a ring that has a square and a compass with a G in the center, they'll be the one to ask.
Okay, and they'll be able to help you out and get you started. And I'm telling you, you'll never look back twice and ask why. It'll be an incredible experience for you, and it's just unbelievable. Brothers times two. Hey, we've been interviewing and visiting with Dr. Harry Carter. Chief Carter retired from the Newark, New Jersey Fire Department, and we've been talking about the Masons and the brotherhood and the whole fire service family, the parallels between the Masons and firefighters, which get into it, you'll see exactly. That's all I can tell you. Get into it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But Harry, before we run, we've got some time left here, but I wanted to pick your brain on a couple things, and we were visiting again the other day on this a little bit, but a couple things. One is you wrote an article years ago, again, many that was, Chief, you can't hide behind your desk, and I guess I wanted to visit with you for a few minutes on the state of the fire service. I know that could go on for hours with everything going on, but we got budget problems going on, Harry, and people saying we're too safe, we're not safe enough, and we've got a lot of young firefighters coming on board that think some of the TV shows are real. Where do you see things go? First of all, I mean, how do you answer to when a firefighter comes up to you and says, Chief Carter, you know, they want to lay off people, they want to do this. I mean, what advice do you give some of these firefighters out there, you know, going through the times they're going through right now?
Well, if it's the firefighter, I'm going to tell him to stay on the chief's butt to make sure that the chief creates a full case for why the people should not be hired. And if it's the chief asking, I'm going to kick him in the butt and tell him to put that case together. Now, when you're putting a case together, you can win or you can lose. Far too many people that I see, when they lose, will say something somewhat, well, you could use the word stupid, ridiculous, or nonsensical to say, well, we're laying off 50 people, but we're not going to check. We're going to give you the same level of service.
How can you?
I urge them to be completely candid and say, we have cut 50 members. We're envisioning that the job will still be done, but there may be increased response times. There may be a lag between when you call and when help arrives. However, we want you to know that we are there for you in spite of what has been provided to us. Years ago, I was trying to get public support for buying two pieces of fire apparatus here in Adelphia. And I went down to the different senior citizens groups, who are a very big voting bloc, as you well know, and I said, we need these vehicles, but I want to assure you, whether you approve them or whether you vote against them, you can count on us to come and help you. Now, with the older vehicles, maybe they break down, maybe we don't make it, but we'll get to you, because that's why we're here. Well, that's what I would urge those people to do. Be honest and do not, well, the good word is prevaricate, but more than likely I'd probably use some form of the letters B and S in combination.
Well, and I think, it's so hard to see some of the, and there's some places that just don't have the money right now. I don't care how you split it, what you do, and how many shovels you get, and little cans you're looking for in the backyard. They just don't have it. It's frustrating when you see some of the other areas that, that they're making cuts, but yet they're spending money on projects, and that's a whole another day worth of talk.
What saddens me the most right now, Rick, is the slashing of the Fire Act money in this current Congress. Now, I was in D.C. for the Fire Caucus dinner, and I thought I heard Joe Biden, our vice president, say something. But a number of us have reviewed the speech, and he didn't say what we thought he said. We listened and heard what we wanted to hear. But that didn't stop me from accusing him in a commentary recently of failing to coordinate with the administration his promises. And Steny Hoyer, majority leader of our Congress, of our House Representatives, Biden and Hoyer are two of the front rank supporters of the fire service. They were on day one. They were at the caucus. They were been there through the years for us. But right now, there's a force at work that I can't describe that says we need people, but we don't need equipment. Well, I'm a strong proponent of the Fire Act. I was on the group in the late 90s that fought to get it. I was in the FEMA bunker in 2000 when we put the whole program together as it rolled out the door the first year. I made a road trip 3 years ago. Remember, Rick, when I toured the country with my pal Jack Peltier, and we visited, I guess it was 20 states over a 30-day period, met with 50 fire departments who shared the life-altering experience of a successful Fire Act grant. And one of my favorite places is in a teeny tiny little town in Indiana, where worshipful brother Dick Doan holds forth as the assistant chief. They just have gotten so many good things that they never would have had. In Ohio, I was visiting with a larger fire department, a regional-sized fire department, and the chief said one of his buddies that's a volunteer chief said they had gotten 15 sets of gear, and now they were able, with their fund drive, rather than buying equipment, to install a bathroom in the firehouse so they wouldn't have to go up the street to the VFW and use their bathroom.
Well, and there are departments out there that are receiving funding. Like you said, Harry, we've been places, you and I, where you look and there's 10 different names in the back of the coats for 10 different departments because they're using somebody else's throwaways or out of service gear. And I was at one place where they had the 2 Nomex hoods and the 2 air packs, and they said whoever gets the air packs gets to wear the hoods.
Well, that's like the place in Kentucky where when the fire department went in service, it took them 2 years to get in service because they only had 4 sets of gear, and the 4 people that went to the State Fire College got the gear, and they couldn't go in service as a fire department until everybody had rotated through over 2 years using those 4 sets of gear.
Yeah, it's just the Fire Act, the funding, it has done some incredible things for some departments that desperately needed the equipment, the training. If you really look around, you'll see some departments getting what they need. But it's just hard when when you see what we're trying to do, the gear, I've always said the gear's incredible. I went from 3/4 boots to the bunker pants. The gear is incredible, protects our firefighters, but we're at times we're wearing gear that allows us to do less, fighting fires with less people. None of it adds up, and you have to know your limitations with the wonderful protective clothing we have, but you have to understand heat stress emergencies and things like that, especially down here. At the same time, you can cut people all you want. I mean, it's just, I like how you said it. It's almost the same way Dave Rhodes and Matt Mosley, when they did the thing from Atlanta, Marketing the Mission, they said, you don't want to go out and become the whiners of the problems, but please don't tell people that's all is fine when it's not. Tell them we're going to show up, we're going to be there, we're always there for you, but we need a new fire engine, or we need this because of this. And you said it, I think, perfectly. You have to be honest with the public.
What an interesting concept. Honesty. Interesting concept. I always try to have a fair and balanced view of the news. I will watch CNN for a half hour to get the liberal view, and I will watch Fox for a half hour to get the right-wing view. So I figure at the end of the day of watching that in the Wall Street Channel, I'll have pretty much an idea of where our country's headed this day. But if you're not keeping an eye on things, well, they actually passed a law in New Jersey last month. I want you to listen carefully, Rick. They passed a law that said it's illegal to do illegal things. These are the people running our government.
It's illegal to do illegal things. I never thought about that. I was a cop, too.
Yep.
That would have helped me out when I was a police officer years ago.
Well, it was a case I won't go into, and it was incredible acts of stupidity by stupid people. Usually, that's who does stupid things, stupid people. But we need more honesty and more trust in society. And frankly, I ain't seeing it, buddy. I ain't seeing it.
Yeah, for me, even though we struggle once in a while in the fire service, when all is said and done, I've sat there before and said it's the family, the things, again, you said before, we're not immune from having that person that, chucklehead over here that does something or says something, but the lion's share, the biggest, the numbers are just, I've got that family to always lean on when it comes to bad things going on and when it comes to honesty. And one of the other things we talked about, and this is something that's been a hot topic lately, is just, what are we supposed to be doing out there and how safe should we be?
Well, let me say right now what I told you yesterday when we were chitting and chatting about this. When I teach strategy and tactics, there's a very simple lesson I try to get across, in amongst all the stuff from my book. But what I try to say is, as you pull up, as you look at that burning building, as you're weighing the pros and cons and the lifetime hot area construction questions, if somewhere deep in your stomach the words start rumbling up, boy, would it be stupid to go in there. Well, you know what? I'm a man that says go with your gut.
Yes.
If it looks stupid, by golly, it is stupid. And we've got to stop trying to smother fires with firemen's bodies.
Right.
You can't stack them up and smother the fire. We're not in the business of killing people. We're not in the business of maiming people. We're in the business of assisting the public. Is it dangerous? Yes. Do we need to always make it dangerous? No. Are there times when we do things we should not do? Yes, there are plenty of those times. But I'm sick and tired of being called a sissy when I talk about safety. I mentioned to you the other day that one of my favorite nicknames here in Adelphia, because of my passion for seatbelts, is the seatbelt Nazi. Because I am not moving that fire truck, period.
Well, I talked with Ron about it, Ron Sardicki, and we've got the initiatives. And the National Fall Firefighters Foundation has done some incredible things and continues to. He's a great guy doing wonderful stuff. And on one hand, I'm like, I believe it. I believe in the initiatives, and I believe they're important, and we need to be reaching out to everybody, and seatbelts is the example. On the other hand, as much as, and don't take offense, I've said this before on the show, don't take offense if you receive one of these awards, but to give an award out to where because you wore your seatbelt, I understand the concept, but I think we're at a point where, we've given it away. You put your seatbelt on. It's called a policy. You won't get ejected from the fire engine, not because you have a firefighter that's driving hazardously. You won't get ejected when some mutt pulls in front of you who blew the light because you're wearing your seatbelt. And you won't get cancer, you shouldn't, if you're wearing your face piece. And you're right, Harry, I mean, your gut feeling, God, that is just so right on with tactics and strategy. Yes, we have to go inside. John Norman said it this year, Harry, we talked about this at FDIC. He said, if you're not going to go in and put out my fire, then I don't need a fire department. My entire life is burning to the ground. However, and you said it very well just a moment ago, you have to be able to pick and choose when you're going to go in and when you're not, and that's through good, solid training and tactics and strategy. Don't you believe?
Well, I've always thought that a firefighter's career from bottom to top, from beginning to end, is cyclic. In recruit training or in firefighter school, you are taught what to do and how to do it. As you go through your career, you will do things, and if you're in a good fire department, they will critique them, adjust them, tweak them, and then you'll take more training and have more incidents and do more things. And it's involving physical training, mental training, and heaven help me, Rick, the reading of books.
Yes.
It's not going to happen if you don't consciously put the effort into it. Now, in my little village here of Adelphia, in the township of Howell, in the state of New Jersey, we've ratcheted up our drill requirements. We probably will have somewhere between 30 and 40 drills a year in a 12-month year. And there's more people showing up because we're making them interesting, we're making them useful, and we're cycling them through so over a 2 or 3 year period, you will cover a range of tasks. We also have a blessing that most places don't have, in that the county fire training facility is in our fire district.
Okay.
So if we want to go over to the smokehouse and it's available, we go. It's like, well, from our new fire station we just opened up in November, it's a left turn, 500 yards, and a left turn, and you're at the training center. But you gotta do it. There's no magic here. No little God of knowledge is going to come down from the sky with a lightning bolt, boom, hit your head, and you know it. I'll bet you that you're still learning. And you've been in the business a long time. I rode the ambulance the first time in 1964, and every day I'm still, damn, how can I forget that? How come I didn't know that? Where did I miss that?
Harry, does it scare you or does it not scare you when you hear let's just pick on an officer for a second, when they feel that they're beyond the need for training, I don't have to go to that class, I don't have to participate in that drill because I know it all.
It's a cause of great fear and consternation, because the day that you know it all is the day you should be in a coffin up the street at the funeral home.
Yeah.
And I'll give you one better. Hopefully, I'll be up above, and when they slam the lid, I'll hear from that great place on high whether they put me in a cardboard box or a bronze casket. I'll know from the sound. I'll learn right at that point. Post hoc, I will learn. But I'm sorry if I seem a bit passionate about training. When I was in Newark, I was the voice of command for all line-of-duty funeral deaths. And after you bury 3 or 4 friends over a 15-year period, you start to think that it's pretty serious. I mean,
yes.
And
unfortunately, that's what it takes, Harry. And sadly, departments will call and they'll say, Chief Carter or Rick, we need you to come out. We had a bad incident happen, all this. And I'll give you an example. You get a line-of-duty death where a 17-year veteran, a firefighter, got lost in a building and, turned around, ran out of air, and died. And when you look and when you're done where line 1 was and the second attack line and where the search crew was and the time of day and size of the department, all that stuff, and then you look at the training file, you had to go back 11 years to find any documentation he had worn air pack. And his buddy said, well, he knows how to do it. He's been doing it long enough. Well, he did because he got, right? Training, and I know how you feel about it, it's your life, is the backbone behind everything we do. And if you want to be safe, you said it, you go with your gut. You let your gut tell you if it don't smell, taste, or look right, then don't do it. But you got to back that up by getting get the books out, get the training out. The best way to learn something is to teach it, right? I mean,
Oh, you have to know it better than the person you're teaching if you're teaching correctly.
Exactly.
I mean, I still practice that now, and I'm teaching at the doctoral level for Capella, but I got to learn 2 new books by next month because I don't want to be there 1 chapter ahead of my students.
I've always thought that the teaching hospitals are the best to go to because they're on the cutting edge.
Oh, yeah.
Our paramedics here, Harry, we have provisional paramedics ride out every day, which I like that because my guys have to stay tuned because you're grading and critiquing and helping and mentoring a young paramedic. You better damn well know what you're doing. But just like you said, when I don't know, we've got to stay on top of people. And this whole being too safe, I can understand. We were visiting on this as well as yes, there is a point where you could be so overwhelmed with the safety thing that you actually may be posing some risk. But
you can hit paralysis by analysis doing that.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. That's perfect. And what a great way to describe that. But at the same time, if you're not going to be safe, if you're not going to tell your people to slow down, stop at intersections, don't back up without Chief, it was only a pole or it was only a sign. No, that could have been a kid on a bicycle. It could have been a firefighter putting his gear on or her gear on at the ambulance or something. Slow down, wear your seatbelt.
How about the pickup truck in Massachusetts that was backing into the firehouse and ran over a civilian?
Yeah,
we didn't have a backup person because it was a pickup truck.
The backing of backing the vehicles, wear your face piece, bring your tools, train, put your gear on. It's our good friend John Salka, Chief John Salka says if you're a company officer, you're not taking I don't care whether it's 10 minutes or an hour a day to train your people, then you're not doing your job.
Well, one of my great feelings about the time I spent in Newark, we trained in my battalion. The guys knew my policies. My favorite type of fire would be where I roll in as the chief, and I'm looking at things, and I'm seeing that there's the first due, there's the second due engine, third due engine, trucks in front of the building, second trucks in the rear. All I had to do was hold the fourth due engine and say, stand by with me here at the command post, and I'll see what we need to do. Because if you're trained, if people know what to expect, if they have your message in their head about safety, about deployments, and one of my favorites was, no boosters. I don't want to see a booster line off a fire truck in my battalion unless you're standing next to a trash can.
Right.
And I had to work hard at that one. But I made that happen. Now, I've been places in the country where I've been chastised. You don't understand. You can do a lot with a booster. Yeah. You can kill people with a booster. You can burn buildings down with a booster. But that's my opinion based on my experience. I can't control your experience. I can't control your education. Heaven help me. I write, and I'm writing all the time. And I'm publishing in different countries. But if it's not being read, or if it's not being assimilated, or if it's not being rebroadcast to other people, then I'm just sitting in my office having fun packing keys.
Well, and my good buddy and one of my mentors, Chief Tom Freeman from the Lyle Woodridge Fire District up on the west side of Chicago, Tom has said it, and he always ends it, you need to read something about this job every day. Take 10 minutes. And now with the Internet, Harry, there is no reason why you can't take YouTube, your videos, smoke conditions, fires, right? It's all free.
You can download 50 million things. There even was one grotesque clip that somebody sent around about the guy on top of the railroad car that hits the wire. Well, what better way to demonstrate the power of electricity to cause instantaneous death?
Right.
And I've always said it, Rick, but one of the items that firefighters know the least about is electricity.
Yes.
Well,
and we've had some bad times lately with some people. We've had some people step on lines and a couple different instances in this country where we've lost firefighters due to that. Or
one of my dearest friends the late Mike Delane was killed at a fire in Newark in 1994. He was bringing a rookie down a ladder. The rookie had been in a spot where he probably shouldn't have been, but Mike took his saw and was coming down the ladder, and a spark jumped from a line. In that section of town, the lines had been reversed. Normally the power gets greater as it goes up the pole. Mm-hmm. It had been reversed, and it jumped, and it got him on the ladder. That was the worst time in my career in Newark. I had just happened to be off that night. It was my shift, and I always, if I wasn't at the fire, if I wasn't on the response, I was the ultimate buff. I'd just go over to the other side of town and see what was going on. But I was off. The next night I was up there with my buddy who was the acting captain, and we went out, we rode through the streets. We both loved cigars, so we were smoking and thinking and talking and commiserating and crying, and we just couldn't figure it out. But you know what? We went into a period of training on don't put your ladder here, OSHA says this, OSHA says that. And don't you know, if not 8 months later, I'm coming in on a second alarm, and I see the nitwits on this one company trying to weave an aerial through the wires to get up. I said, just put the son of a bitch down and get off the fire truck, will you?
Yeah.
You can't talk to me like that. Wait a minute. Your shirt is blue. My shirt is white. Now, you know me, Rick. I don't like to be like that.
No.
But sometimes you got to wear the white shirt of authority and say, just take the doggone ladder and put it back in the bed, get on the vehicle, and go back to your firehouse alive, will you?
General Colin Powell says it best. Being responsible means pissing people off sometimes.
Well, then you and me and the general have done our job well.
Well, I mean, right?
I'm going to have a big crowd at my funeral just to make sure it's me in the box.
but if you're not, and I've said it, we've watched how many tapes, Harry, of people falling through roofs and buildings falling on people, and you see somebody in a white helmet standing there, worse yet, a safety jeep, not saying anything. And it takes courage to lead. It takes courage to make the right decisions because they're right and not popular. And our job is to keep people alive, and that includes ourselves. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So we're gonna, and I've already thought we're gonna get you back on again because there's a couple more things I've written down that I have to pick your brain on, buddy, and get folks to listen to.
I do what I can swiftly and then move along to the next project.
I want to split this last part here as we close things out into two questions. The first one is, what advice would whatever hat you put on, Dr. Harry Carter, Chief Harry Carter, brother Harry Carter, what advice would you give to a new firefighter, volunteer paid, coming on a job today?
A new firefighter should devote themselves to learning all of the steps that they're going to need to do to perform their job. Coming out of an academy, you will have a skill set. You need to work with people to exercise that skill set. Now, I'm saying this beyond the new person to the person who's running the fire department, to the officers. If you don't have some form of mentorship program, actual, unofficial, or half-assed, you better get one. Because mentorship means nothing more than leading by example. Because if that new person comes out with a skill set and they see that you haven't got a clue as to how to use that skill set, well, A, they're going to have no respect for you. B, their skill set will not get used. And C, it will atrophy and go away. And now you'll have a younger person with nothing to do. Now, also to the younger person, that fire school doesn't qualify you to do anything more than be the new person on the block. I am sick, and I am tired, and I am fed up with younger people who come out of the fire school thinking they know it all, they never have to take another class in their whole life, and who in the heck am I, old duffer that I am, to tell them what to do? Because how could I possibly know? Because I'm older than dirt. I'm getting phone calls from dirt on how to be old. I'm sick of that crap. When you're new and you're young, you don't know much. Now, you see, the trouble is, I didn't probably recognize that when I was young. But, Rick, I'm going to share unofficial research with you. I said to myself, how can we possibly continually make the same stupid errors over and again? A la Waldbaum's in 78, where the guys die in Brooklyn falling through the roof. a la Hackensack Ford in '88, guys going through the roof or the building falling on them, a la Texas, where the two guys go through the roof or fall through the roof in 2002 or 3. I mean, why? Well, it came to me. Remember I just said young people know it all? I think that every succeeding generation thinks itself to be that much smarter than the one it came from, that they're going to go out and show them that they know what they're doing. Ergo, they will not accept advice from the prior generation. They will simply do things and make the same mistakes, probably that some boob made in a big city fire department in 1896. I have books in my collection from the 1800s, from the early 1900s, and I'm telling you, Rick, the problems we have today were problems in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and into the 21st century now, because the generations change. And the fire service has shorter generational turnaround. Social scientists say generations are either 18 or 25 years. Well, from the nonsense I'm seeing, I'm thinking 7 to 10 years is a generation in the fire system.
It's the same stuff over and over getting to us, and there's nothing new out there, really. That you said it. How many people have to fall through roofs or have walls fall on them before you go, collapse zones mean something and building construction means something, period.
I had an incident to prove that point. I was acting deputy one night in Newark, and it was a 4-alarm fire. It was a city block on fire. And I'm at the command post, and about every 5 minutes I'd be calling, where's the electric company? Where's the electric company? I've got transformers. Well, finally, luckily I had captains that knew collapse zones. So everything we had was set up either on the far side of the street or on a seam, except for 2 companies. So I'm sitting there and I'm saying, that's it, I've had it. And I issued an abandoned ship order. I pulled every ounce of equipment off the block where that fire was. Everything. And I said, we're going up on the McCarter Highway, we're going to drink coffee from the Gong Club, and we're going to figure out how to put this son of a gun out. It's on the power company's head because they didn't show up.
Right.
And we pulled everybody out of there, which of course brought my boss down from his house on the other side of town. However, 10 minutes after I pulled the companies out of Clark Street, the wall fell where they were. Now, was I smart? Was I brilliant? Was I lucky? As a Mason, I prefer to think that someone showed light on the road I should travel.
And you went with your gut.
I went with my gut. I said, what am I, stupid here? You know, I can giggle now, but I had a guy come up to me after the fire, and he says, I'm taking my captain's exam next week, Chief, and I'm going to remember just what you did tonight. well, that guy is now, by the way, a chief in the department.
Oh, really?
Yep. He worked his way up to captain and then chief.
It's just we're at a point where we've got it. We just got to stay on people. I don't know what it is. Just to keep reaching for something to go. And a lot of times that's something on the bookshelf you have already.
Well, you have to be a supervisory diaper. You got to be on them all the time.
Well, and
I hate to say it that way, but when you're dealing with certain sorts of folks in this world, unless you're on their case, you're going to lose them.
You have to, and again, that's that whole responsibility thing, which, hopefully we can instill in some people and get the leadership thing going again, and make that all happen. Hey,
yes.
Last question, and if I can get you to do this, give me just a couple minutes advice to the officer.
Advice to the officer.
Yeah.
You are responsible for fellow human beings. You make a mistake, somebody don't go home. Years and years ago, I went to a wedding for one of my firefighters. And when Tony and Sue were at that part of the Catholic ceremony where they went over into the chapel and they knelt before the Virgin Mary to light their candles, it was like a lightning bolt came through the top of that church in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and hit me in the back of the head. Oh, my God, I'm not just responsible for Tony. If I screw up, it impacts Sue. And then I started going, my God, I had 35 guys in my battalion. 30 of them are married. And then there's kids and grandchildren. Well, folks, that's your responsibility. You better get off your butt. You read the books. You go to the seminars. And if you can't afford to go, if there's one thing you do in your life, get to the FDIC in Indianapolis. I've been going to the FDIC when it was in Memphis, when it was in Cincinnati, and now that it's in Indianapolis. And there isn't a year that goes by that I don't pick up something. And then getting ready to teach down there, as I have for the last 30 years, I'm learning. Because you can't teach if you don't know. So officers, you got to learn, you got to teach, you got to share, and you got to care.
Well, Harry, I'm throwing a third question at you here, and that's going to be, can I get you to come back on another day too? Because I've got like 5 things now that I really want to get going with you on, with another show. Would you be willing to come back on?
I am always available for public consumption.
Well, we've been visiting with Dr. Harry Carter, Chief Harry Carter, and brother Harry Carter. Hopefully, folks, you've obviously picked up on something with the Masons, and if you have any questions, feel free to call or reach out to someone and ask them. Before we do go, Harry, I would like to do this if you could. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, I think I know you got a website and or an email address or both. If you could give that out here, if they wanted you to pick your brain, or they want to bring you out to teach a program for them, which, you know, if you've got the means, make it happen. Get Harry out to teach and visit with your folks. It won't be just a class, I'm telling you. It'll be a lunchtime talk. It'll be a in-between break talk. I've been around you, Harry, and the teaching doesn't stop just when the coffee comes out at break time. It continues. So if you can make that happen, you'll never, ever be sorry about that.
I'll be glad to share it with you, Rick. The email address, and I'll spell it slowly because I'm dealing with firemen like myself, Dr. Harry Carter at OPTONLINE.net, or Dr. Harry Carter at optonline.net, or my website, harrycarter.com, or my cell phone, 732-513-8457. But why would you give me your phone number? Because I like talking to people.
Well, and I
it gets lonely here when my wife's at work.
and Harry, I start off by saying, and that was just one of our many conversations. I hung up the phone, and I'm not, I have no reason to blow smoke at you, buddy. I hung up the phone invigorated, not just about the Masons, but about the fire service. That's why I said, folks, if you ever had Harry out to teach a program for you, you're gonna, again, it doesn't stop when he says thank you and have a good day. It's at supper. It's at lunch. It's during the coffee breaks. Harry, there's a lot of people out there that say they love the fire service, and I'm blessed to have some great friends like yourself and some brothers. But you're definitely someone who loves and bleeds the fire service, safety, education, training, everything. The family wrapped in. You're the whole picture and the whole thing. And if you're a young firefighter, you need to get with this guy and pick his brain and just grab on, hang on. You're going to go for a great ride, but get your pad of paper out, because you'll never be able to remember everything you're going to hear from Harry, because it's just incredible.
Well, if you don't like what you're doing in the fire service, go out and wash cars for a living.
Exactly. Well, Harry, I can't thank you enough, brother, for coming on today, and it's been great, and we're definitely going to get you back on, because there's a couple more things we need to visit on to get out there.
Thank you, Rick. It is an honor to be asked to share what you know with other people.
Well, it's been incredible, buddy. And to my brother Harry Carter, thank you so much for being on this show.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you, pal. And to everyone else out there, again, if you got any ideas, any thoughts, throw them at me. You've got the phone numbers. The email address is rick@prideandownership.com. Give me a call at the firehouse. Give me a call on my cell phone. All those are there. Those numbers are right there for you. Please, anything we could do for you. Chief Bobby Hall is doing a great job with everything with Fire Engine Magazine, the website, Peter Perocchio, everybody, Diane Fellman. They've been doing great work. The book folks. Don't just wait for FDIC. He's great at conferences. Get out, read something, get to the website. There's tons of free stuff out there. Spend your time. Get better at this whole fire service, being a firefighter thing. It's only going to help you and your family. Like Harry said, it goes well beyond just the person wearing a helmet. It goes actually generational. You're helping families and their kids and everything else. So, and as we always end the show, with two very simple words, but good ones to follow: be safe.